What was something you watched that lives in your head rent-free? There's been a surge of great shows in recent years, many begging the question of, what the fuck did I just watch? That question can have two meanings. It could be the absolute worst thing you've seen in your lifespan, or it was so memorable even after almost 2 years, it hits you like a truck. The impact of Frieren Beyond Journeys End can be described as unexpected, beautiful, and boring. Oh, this thumbnail, it's something for sure. Back in May, Solo Leveling received the title for Best Anime of 2025. My stupid ass also put this award show in high regard without knowing that the debate for the anime of the year is just a popularity contest. But I am an anime wanderer, so it didn't really affect me at all. I'm not committed to any fandom. Frieren is an elven mage who has lived for thousands of years. One could say that she's existed since the dawn of humanity. For 10 years, her and the party of heroes have been traveling, questing, learning, and bonding with each other, up until the defeat of the Demon King. Before disbanding, Himmel, Heiter, Eisen, and Frieren celebrate a successful decade run. The rest of the party members are making the most out of it, but Frieren continues to watch, stoically. She tells Himmel that they could watch the meteor shower in another 50 years, and he just bursts into laughter. They reunite to watch it together as promised, knowing well that would be the very last. The cold, unbothered, and stoic elf that we were introduced to begins crying during Himmel's funeral. It was these words that she uttered, "Why didn't I try to get to know him better?" The decade-long adventure was so short. To Frieren, she didn't understand why human lives were so minute. Afterwards, Heiter parted ways with the two, but there was something special about what Frieren said to Eisen. Eisen asks if she's going to continue collecting spells. Frieren replies, "Yes, I do, but I want to learn more about humans." The journey with the party of heroes was just a chapter of her life. When I first watched this, I felt conflicted. Man, this animation is beautiful, but why have we not seen the journey of these previous heroes? Why have we suddenly moved on to Eggplant and Tomato when I want to see how these heroes lived? Flashbacks. I'm pretty sure 90% of anime have incorporated flashbacks. I think there's an actual term for them. Hold up, let me find them. Here? No, not here. Maybe here? No. Ah, there it is. Analepsis. The fancy term used to describe a narrative flashback. If I recall, the earliest flashback was presented during episode 2, when Fern was attempting to off herself. Definitely not a pretty first impression, but very impactful. Heiter tells Fern about an old friend, his comrade, a selfless hero who in his position wouldn't waste a second to save others. Himmel inspired many. Heiter planned to live the rest of his days peacefully, but he came to an understanding that if he died without doing anything, the bond he cherished with Himmel and his integrous actions would all perish along with his memories. That's who this blue-haired guy was. See? Why did you just assume I wasn't going to share these characters? You stupid bucket idiot dummy. Whatever. That was just a tiny description of who Himmel the hero is, the main driving force for Frieren's desire to learn about the human race. Over the course of the anime, Frieren sees memories of Himmel in the form of monuments spread all over the region. Aware of Frieren's longevity, Himmel wanted to preserve her memory of him by placing statues in rural areas for her to see along her journey. His history with Frieren dates all the way back to when he was just a child. Lost in the forest, he could not find his way out. The young Himmel felt hopeless. Suddenly, a petite elf shows up and gives him directions to his village. However, Himmel was just confused by her expression. No enthusiasm, no words of encouragement. This random ass elf just stood there robotically like the arrow on a compass. To Frieren, her expression once again was misunderstood, and to ease the tension, she used a spell to create a field of flowers. This was Himmel's fondest moment of their first interaction, and it's a very beautiful one at best. Himmel is characterized as this perfect, charismatic, powerful hero, and while this is true, there was an in-depth video from Pei that dives into Himmel's status as a fake hero, for not being destined to pull the legendary sword. The reputation of heroes is created by the countless good deeds that they accumulated. Having that integrity of a hero doesn't only apply to big feats like slaying the Demon King and being the biggest Frieren sim ever, but even something as simple as clearing obstruction, tending to the elderlies, and helping someone who's lost are still considered heroic deeds. As a quote from Pei, small things do add up, and aren't any less meaningful than they appear to be. Himmel without a doubt is an exceptional hero. The one who I believe is tantamount to the efforts of Himmel is Stark. Now Stark is a character that is introduced 5 episodes into the story. At first glance, he looks composed, confident enough to look after the kids who look up to him. What's pretty funny is once Frieren asks if Stark has enough combat experience to cover her, his personality flips entirely. He begins outright begging Frieren to save him. Fern gets annoyed and tells Frieren that they should look for a different person. What surprised me during that scene was for some reason Frieren put a lot of faith into Stark, the boy who cares enough to defend the village. Just like Himmel, they are both heroes who feel indebted to the people. But unlike Himmel, Stark is afraid of getting killed. He knows the dragon simply isn't interested in slaying the villagers, but if it comes to a point where it does, he will run away indefinitely. The next day, the three approach the dragon's den. Your hands are shaking. Oh, you think? I'm fucking terrified. Who wouldn't be terrified of a fucking dragon? Frieren smiles and comments on how Stark resembles his master, Aizen. Back then, before the party engaged with a powerful foe, Frieren noticed Aizen trembling. She asks Aizen if he's scared. To his dismay, Aizen responds honestly, I am. Being afraid isn't bad. It's the fear that brought me this far. Minutes before Stark engages, there was a scene that I intentionally passed over for more value. The night prior, Stark and Fern were sharing stories related to their masters. For Fern, there was a time when she was being chased down by monsters, and for some reason Frieren didn't step in to wipe them out. It was until she stopped and beamed the monster that was chasing her. Resolve. Despite the fear, Stark chooses to run towards the dragon. Resolve. The dragon was aware of how powerful Stark was. It was wise enough to not pick a fight in his presence. Resolve. The fight ended in exactly 30 seconds. I was counting down the second from when his blade made contact with the dragon claw. This is peak storytelling. What I enjoyed more than the fight though was how open these characters were about their flaws. Aizen and Stark are courageous warriors, yet the strongest of warriors can also be scared, and that's okay. A person who is determined to pull through even in moments of doubt is truly powerful. Through resolve, you two are capable of great things. Demons have always felt like antagonistic beings. In Frieren, it is no different. The sight of a few is enough to keep Frieren strapped. I think the most bone-chilling and underrated fight in Frieren occurred against a demon in the prison. Frieren excels in anticipation. She lets the demon boast and strike first. Attempting to hang Frieren, which is pretty bold, doesn't work at all. Again, he's yapping on how this is the strongest wire in all of demonkind. So he pulls the thread and Frieren is just dangling with her usual stone-faced expression. Frieren lies by saying that there is nothing she can do about the thread. This feeds his ego. In a matter of seconds, Frieren severs both his arms and chokes him to death. Before he can even begin to beg, he is killed. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. The best showcase of Fern's combat prowess happened against a demon named Lugnar. Lugnar is the demon Frieren locked on and almost killed in the town, but was apprehended before doing so. At this point, I was aware of how strong Fern was, but ever since meeting Stark, all I got from her was bitching and pouting. Bitching and pouting from a queen. The problem with demons in this verse is that they are so cocky without backbone. Magic designed to eradicate demons, a modified demon original spell was enough to kill its creator and several demons after. The angles in this fight really show how level-headed Fern was, so I'll give it 10 demon heads for absolute cinema. One of the best arcs of Frieren's first season was during the first class mage exam. It introduces a few of the best side characters I've seen in anime, like Denken, Ubel, and Ubel's armpits. Mages from all over gathered to take on these trials to receive their first class certification. It was so cool seeing the different partner dynamics when all the mages were paired in groups. The most intriguing fights included Frieren, obviously, but there was a cool little snippet of a scene I wanted to include. Ubel makes her first appearance in episode 18. Her magic allows her to cut through anything by visualization. Think of it like Sukuna's world-cutting slash. In a fight against Verbal, Ubel was paralyzed under his binding spell. Verbal gives Ubel an option to freely hand over the still on her own accord. Couldn't you just take the still from me when I was still trapped? For some reason, that thought never occurred to him. Ubel thrusts the still into the air. As Verbal's focus shifts to the still, she lunges and pierces his nose. Ubel's cunning behavior allowed her to see an opening and seize the opportunity. Although she was once again captured, this was a great humbling experience for you, bro. Never take your eyes off of crazy looking women. The rest of the mage exam is full of amazing fights. We get to see a longer Frieren and Fern duo against the clones, and the remaining contestants forming into one group to take out the perfect imitation of Frieren the Slayer. The charm of Frieren to me is the intentional lack of a clear direction. This anime has a lot of slice of life elements to the point where I forget that it is deemed as a shonen. The intro could spend the first 10 minutes of the party shopping, and then send you straight into a battle against demons, whereafter they celebrate under a beautiful night sky. I'm really excited for season 2, for more adventures and the party to reach Ariel.